Finally, I get to review Minuit et Demi. Minuit et Demi, of course, the famous fragrance from YouTube content creator and reviewer Demi RAWLING, came out late 2020. And up till now, I've never had a chance to smell it. Finally has come in here to Osme Perfumery. I've been wearing it. And is it any good? Is it crap? I'm gonna tell you coming up. So welcome back everybody to Joel the Nose, and today I'm getting a treat because I'm reviewing a fragrance that is really talked about a lot, of course, in the fragrance community, and that is Minuit et Demi from Fragrance du Bois. You can see, of course, Demi RAWLING. This is the very famous or well-known fragrance in the fragrance community. Came out the end of 2020. Collaboration between Demi, who of course I think most of you know is one of the most famous fragrance YouTubers and reviewers, content creators, and obviously very beautiful, lovely, nice person. I met her, I don't know, 2 years ago at ScentXplore, the very first one, just briefly. I was there as a fan, really more than anything, and getting to talk to people, meet people for the first time, and she was extremely gracious, very humble, talking to everybody there. So that was, I think maybe there's a certain perception she may be different, but that was my one experience with her. I don't know her personally. So when this came out, I think at first it was a limited release, and you could only get it to the Fragrance du Bois website. I think there were some issues initially with it maybe being sold out or whatever. Bottom line is now here we are in, this is September, July 2021, not July, I'm sorry, September 2021. And it's now made available here in the States. You can get it different places. Osme Perfumery just got it in this week. So I've been wearing it now. I gotta say, it's one of those fragrances I didn't know what to expect. You read the online reviews, Fragrantica, whatever, I think a lot of people bash her for this fragrance because I think people just like to bash fragrance or YouTube reviewers, and they like to kind of bash people as if they're not, whatever, So I think sometimes it's very warranted, other times it's not. That's what it is, that's real life. So I wanted to give this a fair shake and review this and wear it because I did not have very high expectations, to be honest with you, coming into this. I will say that because it was Fragrance du Bois, which is one of my favorite niche houses, I never thought this would be a bad fragrance. The question was whether I would like it. So let's get right into this. Okay, again, 2020, end of 2020 came out. This is the collaboration between Demi RAWLING and Fragrance du Bois, Minuit et Demi. This is an eau de parfum. It is a gourmand fragrance. Okay, so for those of you who like gourmands, gourmand, I think if you watch Demi's channel, you see she kind of favors a lot of those fragrances, more gourmand, boozy, fragrances. And so if you watch her videos, which I've, over the years definitely seen a number of her videos, I respect what she does. And it's a unisex fragrance, so don't be scared off by the fact that it's gourmand. It's definitely unisex. And the notes, if you look at it, are very interesting. You start out at the top with cardamom, pimento, bergamot. At the heart, you have caramel and coffee, and at the base, you have vanilla, cinnamon, tobacco, musk, cedar, a bourbon liquor, cashmeran, and vetiver. So when I put this on initially, and I'm going to spray it right now just so you can kind of see my reaction here. So when you first spray it on, it's an interesting smell. It's not something that's typical. I don't really get much of the bergamot. I think the bergamot is there more to kind of give it a little bit of life, make it a little bit lighter, not so gourmandish at the top, but you definitely get this kind of spicy pimento. The cardamom to me is rich, it's spicy, always on my skin, that's how it comes across. And the pimento is not a fragrance note I'm really kind of that aware of, and I like it. It's almost kind of, I think of pimento olive, but it almost comes across as a little bit nutty. Like I get a little bit of almost like a spicy little nutty kind of almost caramel. And there is caramel and coffee in the heart, and I'm definitely picking that up when I smell it initially. So if you like kind of that gourmandish caramel, almost like toffee, and you get I get some of that alcohol, that bourbon in there. And as it starts to dry down after about an hour or so, for me, it becomes more of this kind of coffee tobacco fragrance. And so even though it's gourmand, it's really, to me, crosses over almost into an oriental range. So this is like, to me, an oriental gourmand. So don't be afraid of it if you are thinking gourmand and you're like, too feminine or whatever. To me, it's not that at all, at least on my skin. And if you have, my skin's more oily, I'm in a warm climate. So, just, to give you a reference point, it definitely comes across to me as not, this would be on the lower or lesser side of sweet gourmand. As you know, gourmand, or maybe you don't know, are typically fragrance notes that evoke the sense of being able to eat or edible. That's why you have caramel, you have coffee, you have vanilla. These are all pimento. These are all notes that technically could be edible, right? So, as it dries down, it goes into this very nice, well-blended kind of vanilla bourbon tobacco fragrance. I gotta be honest, I don't see where the hate is coming from online unless it's strictly because of things like jealousy, because if you've actually smelled this or worn this, I don't see where the criticism comes from. I don't know if it's being legit, because I went into this very skeptical and I'm coming out of this completely won over by this fragrance. Again, as I told you at the beginning, Fragrance Du Bois to me is one of the best niche houses out there. So if they're producing something, they're not gonna throw out crap. They're just not gonna throw out schlock. Different reviewers have done their own fragrances now with brands that a lot of them I've never heard of. This is one that not only have I heard of, I have in my collection fragrances by them, and I respect them greatly. So I know that they would just not put out crap into the marketplace. And so that's another reason, I think that if you like Fragrance Du Bois, you like French perfumery, you should try this. The last point I'm gonna make that sold me on this fragrance is a lot of the, again, complaints I see is that this is kind of a fragrance that doesn't last very long. It's gone after 4 or 5 hours. It doesn't project. I had the opposite, complete opposite reaction on my skin. I put this on for a full wearing just yesterday, around 2:30 in the afternoon. I was wearing it, then I went to a concert, rock and roll concert outdoors, Black Crowes, about 10,000 people, hot, humid out, raining, sweaty, people next to each other, people bumping into me, sweating. And in those conditions, I kept smelling this fragrance and I couldn't believe it. I kept wondering, like, wow, this thing is really kicking ass. And not only that, it stayed on. And even after I left the concert and got home, over 10 hours later, I could still smell it. And the smell that was really strong in the dry down to me was cedar. That's another thing I don't see a lot of people talking about. But cedar is one of the notes in the base, and it was a beautiful cedar. I would say kind of like a vetiver cedar dry down that was, to me, beautiful. Beautiful. Long lasting and projecting. I don't know. That was on my skin. I've got nothing in this. I don't have a connection with Demi. I don't know her personally. I can just tell you the fragrance is, to me, worth it, and absolutely something I'm considering now adding to my collection, because I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm trying to get more into gourmand fragrances because normally they've not been my favorite, but this is a gourmand that I truly, truly enjoy. So there you have it. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe if you found this useful. Follow my Instagram, JoelTheNose, just like my YouTube channel. And thanks for all your support, guys. I'll be back soon with another video. Peace and love.